Hi, I'm Jeanette Oakes, and welcome to What Is She Up To Now? Today my guest is Adrian Felix, and he is one of the producers for 1310 KFKA News Talk Radio. Welcome, Adrian.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
So, tell me just a little bit about yourself.
Born and raised Greeley, Colorado. I'm a graduate of Ames Community College. I'm also a senior at Colorado State University. I've worked at the News Talk radio station in Greeley for about 2 years. I started as an intern about 2.5 years ago, and then they hired me. Just a media professional. That's what I want to do in life: TV, radio, writing.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, for people who aren't familiar with 1310 News Talk Radio, tell us a little bit about it.
We're primarily News Talk Radio, but we also do a lot of sports. So a bit of our programming can go from a morning news show, morning talk show, and then sports the rest of the day. And that can include either our own in-house stuff, so stuff that we create in the studio, or also syndicated shows or shows that are sent to us that we rebroadcast.
So you have a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What first brought you to News Talk Radio?
It's so funny because when I started out at Ames, I initially wanted television. I was always told that television seemed like the career path for me because I had a very outgoing personality, very large, and I love TV, but through my internship at Ames that was at KFKA, I really realized that I had a love for radio. I have a love for the theater of the mind and being able to just talk. That's what our broadcasting is just talk. And I love to do that, so.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, what brings you the biggest satisfaction with your job?
I think that the biggest satisfaction is that we're part of a bigger community. Our listeners, it means a lot to me that they turn their dial on the radio, especially when we live in such a media saturated world where there's always video, sound, audio, this, that, the other, and they choose to turn their dials and listen to what we're broadcasting. And I think that that's the biggest satisfaction is we have listeners.
Yeah, and you're right. We're bombarded with media from the time you wake up.
Yeah.
Actually, you're getting ready. You're either listening or watching something.
Yeah.
On your way to work, and even at work now, you can put in your headphones.
Yes. Yeah.
Virtually anywhere you work anymore, so you're on 24/7.
Oh yeah, I mean, just thinking about the radio industry and the connection that we have with cars and radios. People drive all the time, all day, and so they need something to keep their mind busy, whether it's an audiobook or music or us, which I'm hoping it's us because that means we get paid. So.
Right. Good point.
Yes.
All right, and so what are some of the more challenging parts of your job?
A lot of it's can be disagreements about what we're broadcasting, but at the same time, it's also the American way of freedom of speech, is someone can go on to radio and say how they feel. Sometimes it's very frustrating being the producer behind the glass. You're not talking on the radio, you're not giving your opinion. So sometimes you have to perpetuate or broadcast things that you don't necessarily agree with. And I can definitely say that's true for the radio station that I work at, as most of the hosts are conservative. We kind of have a conservative viewpoint of news, and I definitely wouldn't say that I'm a conservative person, but I definitely respect what we do.
Okay. So from the time you started 2.5 years ago, can you name something that you didn't understand or had frustrations with, or just you didn't know what your future was going to hold, to where something changed and you were able to move on with that?
I'd have to say it was after my internship. When I was an intern there, the show that I took care of was the Amy Oliver Show. I love Amy Oliver. She's my radio mom. She taught me what it means to be a journalist and what it means to be in radio. But I had no idea what I was getting into. It was, we need an intern for Amy Oliver, you're it. Mm-hmm. So I went in that day and I kind of, listened to what she had to say, and there was definitely those disagreements. There was those times where you're sitting on the other side of the glass and you kind of have steam coming out of your ears because you just don't understand it. But I think with time, especially the last year, I want to say the first year, it was kind of okay, you kind of have to get over it. This is life. People feel differently than you. That's part of democracy, is someone coming to the table and saying a different viewpoint from you. It's kind of it's helped me accept that part of life. People feel differently than you, and that's fine. But it's also about being an activist and saying, okay, you may think that way, but I'm going to work towards this. And I think that's what I've learned the most of, is my own actions and where I'm headed.
And that's part of growth.
Yeah.
I think in any job situation is you may not agree with what they're doing, and so how do you come to terms to being okay with doing your job?
Yeah,
Would that
and
be
that's
correct?
what it really is about. I remember thinking, like, Amy Oliver isn't here to listen to what I have to think. I'm here to broadcast her show. And that was my job, and that's always been my job, and I love my job. I love doing that. So it took me about a year to get there, but then once I passed that jump, it was kind of like, this is the industry that we work in. This is reality. You kind of have to face it head on.
Well, that makes me want to give a little shout out to Amy Oliver because for you to influence Adrian this way, that's a big deal. So I want to say thank you.
Hi, Amy.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Is there anything in current events that you feel strongly about or want to discuss or?
Well, I mean,
want
there's
to say
always
your piece?
the presidential race, and I think that it's very interesting. But I think that the choices are kind of clear as far as which direction we want to take. I'm not going to sit here and take the time to like nominate or endorse a certain candidate, but I think that most people would probably know which side I'm on, as I'm very vocal about those things. But I mean, it's very important. It's every 4 years we hear it. It's the most important decision we can make. But I think that in this particular year, with it, as adversarial as things are and how much clashing there is, it's like super, super, super important. So I don't care about which way you vote as long as you're involved. That's something that I think that I'll always advocate for. Is I don't necessarily have to agree with you, but the only way we're going to come to a decision is if you come to the table.
Sure.
And I think that's been probably one of the focal points of this election is, you know, you're a Bernie Sanders fan. Well, that's all great, but you have to go and vote for him in order for him to be a candidate. Or, you know, there has to be some step taken that everybody knows that. And I don't think enough people got involved. So, but it'll be an interesting next 6 months.
You are very involved with everything that you do. So I'd like you to name what other aspects of your life that you are very passionate and dedicated to.
Sure. I love my education. Beyond being a producer for KFKA, I also work as the executive producer for CTV, which is a television station within Colorado State University. It's my first time taking this job as kind of like the station manager. So I'm definitely passionate about TV, but also politics. I think that's why I chose TV and radio, because it's such a great medium for talking about those type of things, and it's the best place to create dialogue, I think. Yeah.
And you have one other position that you do.
What's that?
For Miss Rochelle.
Oh, for my best friend / city council member in Greeley. Yes, I was a campaign manager for her when she ran in 2015. That was a year ago. It's so crazy to think that
It's been that long.
It's been that long, yeah. It's
wow.
We got a notification on Facebook saying, hey, campaign kickoff was a year ago, and it's like, whoa. And we accomplished so much. Rochelle's doing a great job, so.
Congratulations to her and to you.
Yes, very proud of her.
So for people that aren't sure what career path they want to take, if they were going to jump into something like you're doing, what is the advice you would give to somebody starting out?
In broadcasting in general?
Yes.
Don't be scared. I think that a lot of people, they see radio and they see TV and they're like, oh, I don't know if I can be on screen. There's so much that goes into making that. I have no really desire to be in front of the camera. I really love being behind the camera. I love making something happen, and that you don't have to be the center of attention in order to do great in this industry. Is we need great producers, we need people that know audio, we need people that know camera, we need people that know graphics. So there's room for everything. And I think the most important thing to understand also is that this field is such a creative field, and there's a real satisfaction with that, especially in I can say for myself I live in a creative industry. It's my own art. My art is communication, whether it's ideas through radio or through TV. It's creative, and I feel like that's the American dream, at least for me, is working in a field like that.
That sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds really exciting. All right. And so, growing up, can you give any advice regarding when you're in one place and you don't know to take the next step? And you went over a little bit just a few seconds ago, but what is the biggest character position you could have to get moving? What motivated you to move forward?
It's confidence. I would have to say that it's confidence. I wasn't always confident in my ability to do things. It's kind of, I can honestly say when I was a teenager I was very scared of the world, very skeptical of my place in the world and my ability to do things, because I just think about like history class and you hear about these people who've done all these amazing things and you're kind of like, I'll never be that, I'll never do that, I'll never make history. But you kind of have to get over that step and realize, okay, I do have a place in the world, I do have a purpose. And I feel like once you take care of that, like there's nothing that can stop you. And I feel like once that clicked, and it didn't click for me until I was like 21 years old. Because I started college late. Most kids go when they're 18, their parents send them off straight from high school, go to college. I needed those years to figure out who I was and my direction in life before I wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that once I had that confidence, it was like, I'm ready to take on this industry. It doesn't scare me. Because I'll be honest, when I first stepped there in my internship and they're like, this is the soundboard, and I'm like, and we're broadcasting, and there's all these buttons and there's so many things that could go wrong, and then you kind of just have to say, I can do this. And it took me about 6 months to learn that soundboard, but there ain't nothing I can't do on it. Yeah.
Well, Adrian, I've very much enjoyed this interview with you, and I look forward to a few more with you.
Yes, of course.
With your qualifications. So, again, thank you.
Definitely.
All right. This is Jeanette Oakes, and again, this is Adrian Felix, and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah!
Yay! Please still say record.